Thank you very much. In my opening remarks, I would like to, of course, add to what was said from my fellow colleagues from Croatia and North Macedonia by talking a little bit about what we do in Kosovo, but at the same time, I would really like to bridge the theme of the conference, which is building bridges for peace, prosperity, and solidarity on the one hand, and the topic of the panel, TECH-CELERATION and innovation in the Western Balkans on the other. Because I really feel that these two components sort of help one another, and it's important to point that out. So I will start my address by a quote, which reads, "Every successful organization has to make the transition from a world defined primarily by repetition to one primarily defined by change. This is the biggest transformation in the structure of how humans work together since the agricultural revolution." It is a quote by Bill Drayton, a social entrepreneur, who goes on to explain that the world in which the working model was to give people a skill that they repeat for life in a world with a lot of walls is actually dying. Instead, the underlying reality is that we are already living in an ever-changing world that is completely interconnected, which I think is also the point of this panel, where the walls we once had are no longer there and where everyone is a change maker. In this world of change makers, I believe that we ought to think about the kind of connectivity we seek and we promote in the Western Balkans. In other words, how can we maximize the ability of technology to transform our lives, economies, and build stronger and more peaceful societies? In my view, there are two major components that the countries in the region can bring forward. One is that as a region, the Western Balkans have the potential to become a digital hub for Europe. Given that most countries have a young population, as was said and noted really well by my previous speaker, given that most countries have a young population, offers opportunities for talent and innovation to flourish. At the same time, it is also documented that there is high penetration of internet throughout the region, ensuring that there is, at least to some extent, an opportunity for equal participation and voice in the solutions provided. Moreover, the Western Balkans countries are already doing very well in the tech industry, which combined with the previous two, offer a combination of unique opportunities that can be used well for the benefit of not only the region, but Europe at large as well. For instance, in Kosovo, there are over 650 ICT companies, a third of which are either partially or fully under foreign ownership. This sector exports more than 70% of its services to EU and the US. So this is a very vibrant, skillful, multilingual force that is already proving its potential. And we, as a government, are here to support this path, to make it stronger. The second component that I would also like to draw attention to is that the Western Balkans could use the technological development to foster peace building. TECH-CELERATION can contribute to peace building processes by offering tools that foster collaboration, that transform attitudes, and give a stronger voice to our communities. For instance, in physically divided communities, and I think that in each of our countries we do have these kinds of communities, unfortunately, digital platforms can bypass those barriers by providing a digital space that offers a chance to communicate with members of the outgroup, so the other group, debunk prejudice and stereotypes, because people get the experience to experience others through their personal experiences, not through what is said or what is given in the media or other channels. So you can imagine how important that is for the younger generations that might not have the opportunity to play, to communicate, or interact with members of the ethnic outgroups. TECH-CELERATION can therefore open up this entire area of interventions that can bring forth a more peaceful and inclusive society in the Western Balkans. We need to use the existing diversity in our societies as our value, not as our obstacle, and we need to bring forth those values in the EU as well. To go back to my very first opening remarks, the world is interconnected and connectivity works. And I think that the pandemic of COVID-19 has brought this to the surface more than anything else up until now. We learned that it was possible to do a lot of things remotely and in innovative ways that were unthinkable before. We were able to teach, learn, play, celebrate, and even address mental health concerns via online platforms. Now, we need to make sure that the change is there to stay and that the promoted connectivity is one that fosters an ecosystem where education, technology, science, and innovation interact for the betterment of our societies. Thank you very much.